In the heart of ancient Greece, a chilling tale unfolds. King Lycaon, ruler of Arcadia, dared to test the might of the gods. Lycaon, a proud and arrogant king, doubted Zeus's power and authority. To prove his point, he committed a heinous act, sacrificing a human child to the king of the gods. Zeus, enraged by this sacrilege, unleashed his wrath upon Lycaon. The king, once powerful and respected, was transformed into a horrifying beast. Lycaon's once human form became a grotesque caricature, hairy, wild-eyed, consumed by an insatiable hunger for flesh. This, according to Greek mythology, was the origin of the werewolf. Lycaon's tale serves as a warning, a stark reminder of the consequences of pride and the dangers of tempting fate. The king's transformation became a symbol of the beast that lurks within us all, a primal instinct that can be unleashed under the darkest of influences. Centuries later and worlds away, similar tales emerge from the icy plains of Scandinavia. These lands, with their harsh winters and rugged terrain, were the perfect backdrop for stories of transformation and primal power. Norse mythology speaks of berserkers, fierce warriors who donned the pelts of wolves or bears and were said to channel the spirits of these animals in battle. These warriors were not just fighters, they were symbols of raw, untamed power, embodying the very essence of the wild. These warriors were said to be consumed by a furious rage, fighting with inhuman strength and ferocity. Their eyes would blaze with an otherworldly fire, and their strength would surpass that of any ordinary man, making them nearly unstoppable on the battlefield. The line between man and beast blurred in these tales. The transformation was not just physical but also spiritual, as they believed they were becoming one with the animal's spirit. Were these berserkers merely tapping into a primal instinct, or was there something more sinister at play? The duality of their nature often left them in a state of inner conflict, torn between their human side and the beast within. Some believe the berserkers were victims of a curse, condemned to transform into savage wolf-like creatures under the light of the full moon. This curse was thought to be a punishment for their ferocity, a dark twist to their already fearsome reputation. Nordic folklore is replete with cautionary tales of shapeshifters and creatures that straddle the line between the human and the animal. These stories served as warnings, reminding people of the dangers that lurked in the unknown. These stories, passed down through generations, reflect a deep-seated fear of the unknown, a primal dread of the wild and untamed forces that lurk at the edges of civilization. Around campfires, these tales would be told and retold, each time adding a layer of mystery and fear, ensuring that the legend of the werewolf would never be forgotten. The belief in werewolves extended beyond the realm of myth and legend, seeping into the annals of history. These tales were not just whispered in the dark corners of villages, but were documented in various historical texts. Throughout medieval Europe, reports of werewolf sightings and attacks were rampant. Villagers would often recount terrifying encounters with these fearsome creatures, describing them in vivid detail. These accounts, often fueled by fear and superstition, painted a chilling picture of a world where man and beast were not so easily distinguished. The line between reality and myth was blurred, creating an atmosphere of dread and suspicion. One of the most infamous cases is that of Peter Stube, a 16th-century German farmer accused of being a werewolf. His story became a sensational tale that spread far and wide, capturing the imagination of many. Stube confessed to a series of brutal murders, claiming he had made a pact with the devil and been granted the ability to transform into a wolf-like creature. His confession included gruesome details of his supposed transformations and the horrific acts he committed. While his confession was likely coerced, it highlights the very real fear that gripped Europe during this time. The methods used to extract such confessions were often brutal, involving torture and intimidation. Whether these historical accounts were the product of genuine belief, mass hysteria, or the scapegoating of individuals suffering from mental illness, they reflect the complex interplay of fear, superstition, and societal pressures. They serve as a stark reminder of the power of fear and the darkness that can take root in the human psyche. The werewolf legends, with their blend of horror and fascination, continue to captivate our imagination, reminding us of the thin line between humanity and the unknown. Section 4. The Devil's Bargain, Witchcraft and Lycanthropy. This chapter delves into the dark and intertwined history of witchcraft and lycanthropy, exploring how these two phenomena became linked in the minds of medieval Europeans. As the fear of witchcraft spread throughout Europe, A wave of hysteria and paranoia gripped the continent. Villages and towns were rife with suspicion, and anyone could be accused of practicing dark arts. So too did the association between werewolves and the occult. The dense forests and shadowy churches became the backdrop for tales of men transforming into beasts under the full moon. Many believed that lycanthropy, the ability to transform into a wolf, was not just a myth but a terrifying reality. This transformation was often seen as a curse or a punishment for those who had dabbled in forbidden practices, was a form of demonic possession or the result of a pact made with the devil himself. Such beliefs were fueled by the church and local folklore, which painted a grim picture of those who consorted with dark forces. This association further fueled the persecution of those accused of witchcraft, leading to countless trials and executions. The fear of werewolves added another layer of terror to the already rampant witch hunts, as werewolves became synonymous with evil and the forces of darkness. The Malleus Maleficarum, a notorious text of the time, a 15th century treatise on witchcraft, played a significant role in spreading these fears. It was a manual for witch hunters, detailing the supposed signs and methods of identifying witches and werewolves, dedicated an entire chapter to lycanthropy. Scholars and inquisitors pored over these texts, convinced that they held the key to understanding and combating the supernatural threats they believed were all around them. The book described in detail the methods by which witches could supposedly transform themselves and others into werewolves, including the use of potions, spells and rituals, further cementing the link between lycanthropy and the demonic in the public imagination. These vivid descriptions and illustrations left a lasting impression on the minds of those who read them. This period of history saw a tragic intersection of superstition, religious fervor, and the very real dangers of mental illness. The lines between reality and myth were often blurred, leading to tragic consequences. And the very real dangers of mental illness. Many of those accused of being werewolves or witches were likely suffering from conditions that were not understood at the time, leading to their persecution. Those accused of being werewolves were often subjected to horrific torture and executions, their alleged crimes a reflection of the fear and paranoia that gripped society. The methods of torture were brutal, designed to extract confessions and root out supposed evil. Their alleged crimes a reflection of the fear and paranoia that gripped society. The legacy of this dark period serves as a reminder of the dangers of superstition and the human capacity for cruelty when driven by fear. Section 5: Science versus Superstition: Modern Perspectives on Werewolves. In the age of reason and scientific inquiry, the belief in werewolves has waned considerably. Modern science offers little evidence to support the existence of lycanthropy as a literal physical transformation. Instead, psychologists and anthropologists point to a variety of explanations for the enduring myth of the werewolf. Some suggest that werewolf legends may have stemmed from cases of rabies, a viral disease that can cause aggression, hallucinations and other behavioral changes reminiscent of the mythical beast. Others believe that stories of werewolves served as cautionary tales, warning against the dangers of giving in to our primal instincts. The human psyche is a complex and often contradictory thing. Our fascination with the werewolf, a creature caught between two worlds, speaks to our own internal struggles between our civilized selves and the raw, untamed forces that lie beneath the surface.